It's time for TWiT. John C. Dvorak is here. Patrick Norton, Mark Milian from CNN. We're going to talk about carrier IQ. How much do they know and when do they know it? MPAA says, don't worry about that SOPA thing. We'll just rewrite it. And RIM is back. Is it? No. It's all coming up next on TWiT.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Audio bandwidth for This Week in Tech is provided by the new Winamp for Android, featuring wireless sync and one-click iTunes import. Now with free daily music downloads and full-length CD listening parties. Download it for free at winamp.com/Android. Video bandwidth for TWiT is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com. This is TWiT, This Week in Tech, episode 330, recorded December 4th, 2011. Herky-Jerky. This Week in Tech is brought to you by Go to My PC. The holidays, bad weather, and sick days can keep you out of the office, but not from getting work done. Visit GoToMyPC.com for your free 30-day trial. Use the promo code TWiT. And by Ford, featuring available voice-activated sync. Sync gives you versatile access to music, podcasts, and more from just about any device. Check it out in the new 2012 Ford Focus and at Ford.com/technology. And by Audible.com. Sign up for the Platinum Plan and get 2 free books. Go to Audible.com/TWiT2. Don't forget to follow Audible on Twitter. User ID Audible_com. It's time for TWiT, This Week in Tech, and today we have a nice big studio audience. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Yeah. This is the second of our barbecues, and I think we're going to do more of these. It's a lot of fun to have a big studio audience from all over. There's a fellow from Ireland. Welcome. A fellow from Edmonton. Welcome. Good to have you. And the rest of them are from all over the U.S., Los Angeles. Great to have you here. Our panel today includes, to my left, Mark Milian of CNN,
hello, Leo.
Formerly of the LA Times. Good to see you.
Good to see
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Thanks
Appreciate
for having me. This will be fun.
John C. Dvorak, welcome to you.
Hello, Leo.
Hello, John. And next to John, Mr. Patrick Norton, my erstwhile buddy from the Screensavers, famous for his sledgehammer. Ooh. Look at that.
Look at you
That
with the
is-
fancy rip hammer.
Isn't that a nice hammer?
That's a California framing hammer.
This
That is
guy
a
here in the
really
front
scary
row
tool.
knows the guy who designed this. This is he says it's a racing hammer.
What does that mean? Well, if you can race chainsaws, why can't you race hammers?
Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, feel that. So Patrick is famous for
nice
his
balance.
sledgehammer. It's nicely balanced, isn't it?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that when you find me slumped over my computer with a hammer protruding from my head, it will be that one.
At least it'll be a quality hammer.
It'll be a quality way to go. Maxwell's silver hammer. So Patrick is famous for using a sledgehammer on computers he doesn't like. So I thought, just in case anything at this point angers you or raises your ire, you'll have that. It'll be
Just broke the set.
Taking the
Very
studio
good.
down.
We
Oh,
start
that's
the show
good.
over.
Oh, that's good, he says.
I should
Isn't
put
that
this
nice?
down. This is
Is that nice?
Yeah, put it down before you hurt
This
somebody.
is from Douglas makes these, high-end tool maker. That's very nice. Thank you. I'm excited. Oh, you want to see a shot of it? Look at that. Wow. It feels like it's got a longer handle than normal. I don't know why that is.
It's a framing hammers have really long handles.
So you can
really
get a
heavy
lot of
nails.
momentum going there?
Yeah.
All right.
16 penny nails suck.
Do people still use nails?
Yes.
Guess they have to. Anyway, the big story today,
As opposed to what, Leo?
I don't know, fasteners.
Glue.
Wouldn't there
Glue.
be
Contact adhesive.
It seems so primitive that the way we join two pieces of wood is by driving a steel spike in.
Home building is primitive.
I guess it's
Even
a basic.
modern home building is
it's
pretty
a very basic, fundamental thing.
And it employs people.
So I think we should start with this carrier IQ story because I need some clarification. I need to understand what's going on. Carrier IQ, to kind of fill you in, there's a guy who does a security, actually I think he's an IT guy named Trevor Eckhart. He's got a blog. And he noticed a lot of outbound traffic on his company's LAN. He said, this is odd. Where's all this traffic coming from? He looked into it, and it was coming from employees' smartphones. He looked into it a little bit further and found that there was a program on many of these smartphones called Carrier IQ that was phoning home. Now, when he first announced this a couple of weeks ago, Carrier IQ said, no. In fact, the carriers said, Sprint and AT&T were using it, said, no. This is software we put on the phones. We monitor the network. We monitor usage anonymously. It helps us design better phones, make our network, and that actually makes sense. You want to tailor your network for where the usage is and all that stuff. So they said it's helpful for that, to improve network and handset performance. Now, Eckhart did some more research, looked at some debugging software, and according to the video that he posted this week, all activity on the phone is recorded and sent back to Carrier IQ, including keystrokes and actions.
Let's pause for a moment, because at this point, this story hits the web. The web goes berserk. Senators, Al Franken, other senators
has demanded a report.
Right. Because it's literally, it's okay, I like to tease Android owners because it's easy. But it's pretty much on all Android phones. It's on BlackBerry phones, and people freak out.
It was built into the iPhone software, too, for a while.
Yes, which Apple was like, we've disabled it in iPhone 5, and we'll be clearing out the rest of the operating software later. So, it is a commonly used tool pretty much by everybody. So the $64,000 question, which you were bringing up before, is, did Trevor make a mistake using debugging software, or...
Which one security researcher said he did? He said, no, it needs to scan the keystrokes. It's not sending him back. That's right. He's misunderstanding what the log is saying.
Right. Or the log captures every single character you enter on your phone.
Right.
Which is a little more terrifying.
Including during SSL sessions where you're typing your bank password, it captures that, and Trevor sends it back. Now, we asked Trevor to join us. He did not respond, so we don't have a way of asking him this. But there is quite a bit of dissent over it. Lance Ulanoff, writing in Mashable, says, Carrier IQ is misunderstood, not evil. Carrier IQ themselves say, we don't do this. And in fact, even if, no matter what they say, why would any company collect every keystroke from every phone that it's running on? It'd be insane. What would you do with all that?
Analyze it.
But not steal passwords. Look for spelling errors.
Well, no, everybody's like, everybody's laughing, like, but look for spelling mistakes, because it's, Apple's
no, you're right.
Really
to improve your prediction.
That's what Google does.
Yeah, I mean, we stopped supporting Carrier IQ with iOS 5, and most of our products will remove it completely in a future software update. It doesn't matter if they wanted to or not. They're going to do it now because Apple's playing a game to try to keep ahead of Android. We're the good software, not that open source stuff. But it says, with any diagnostic data sent to Apple, customers must actively opt in to share this information. If they do, the data is sent. It is in an anonymous and encrypted form. It does not include any personal information. So the other thing we don't know about Carrier IQ, and certainly Carrier IQ is not going to be answering a lot right now, is, although actually they did do
they said they're not
release.
Collecting this stuff.
Right. But that doesn't mean somebody else isn't collecting this stuff.
Well, it does raise the issue. If it's stored in a log on the phone, then a bad guy who gets your phone might be able to find all that stuff.
If a bad guy gets my phone and actually manages to crack the security on my iPhone before he erases it.
Not everybody puts security on their phone.
I understand that. But everybody should put security on their phone. And has everyone backed up this week? Who's backed up today? Okay, who's backed up this week? Who's backed up this month? Everybody who hasn't backed up, you have something to do on Sunday night when you get home. Because one of you is going to lose a hard drive tomorrow.
Sound like
your PSA announcement.
Yeah, really. Lance's position is that, look, all computers have diagnostic software running on them.
Well, I think the problem was that this was just sloppily coded diagnostics, whereas they didn't necessarily need to log every keystroke into the log.
Right. If they're doing that. We're not sure they're doing that.
Well, they're logging it locally onto the phone, but they're not necessarily sending it to the network. They're probably not.
Well, this is supposition that's apparently people have not ignored the fact that Gina Smith, who's got a new, she's got her, I don't know what she's like, the Pied Piper. She's got all these people working for her, and I'm going to help her on her new thing. Yeah. Good. But she uncovered the fact, because she recalled a press release from these guys that was put up with the Nielsen company, and that was taken down, and she called one of her friends at Nielsen and had her resend these old press releases, and that's where the IQ guys apparently show all the functionality. They brag about the fact that they do collect every single keystroke. They brag about the fact that they can map what you're doing and what you're thinking and how you're thinking.
Wow.
And this was produced as a press release within the last 2 years about what they're up to completely, and it's just now getting picked up. These guys, it turns out exactly what they're doing may, in fact, be an incredible violation of U.S. law.
It would be illegal.
If you don't opt in.
There's still some issue here because a lot of the stuff they're doing apparently is pretty sketchy. Now, that said, as somebody else pointed out to me, what is the difference between this and what Echelon is doing or what they're doing in that big AT&T building where they're basically taking everything, the U.S. government, the National Security Agency, for one, is looking at every single moment that you're on the phone looking for keywords, and it's basically we're being spied upon in every which way. What?
Well, one, if you're transmitting information on the internet and it's unencrypted, it's public anyway. It's the back of a postcard. You can make privacy assumptions, but they're really pathetic assumptions that you were wrong about. So, but two, the idea that your carrier has the ability to look on my phone and see the pictures I took last night, that scares the hell out of people because they assume their phone and its contents is private, even though if you get pulled over doing something
I assume
stupid
that
in
my
California,
landline is private.
You're so cute.
I assume my landline is private.
You need to play around with some phone switches.
I think we all understand. Anybody who listens to this show would understand that. For instance, your internet service provider. I mean, people worry about Facebook and Google. Your internet service provider sees everything you're doing. If it's not encrypted.
Your internet provider can see everything. One of my favorite lines. One of the guys who worked
and a cell phone's even worse because you know. I mean, this is your carrier. Your cell phone carrier is the person who is your internet service provider on your cell phone. So they can see everything you're doing. Plus, the cell phone itself reports back with your location, with a lot of information. Who is surprised that this stuff is being sent back? Isn't it a little naive to assume that it's, you know, I mean, this is, if you want to be private, don't carry a cell phone, right?
I mean, could you pick up the hammer, please?
Yeah, not with
It's okay,
my
just
phone.
pick up the hammer, please.
Okay.
Now, is this a hammer for driving nails and a principal tool used in construction and home repair?
Yes.
Or is this a murderous weapon used almost weekly to destroy human lives and create suffering?
Okay.
Because
So
carrier
you're saying that
HTC says, hey, yeah, we use carrier IQ. Somebody has a problem, we tell them to hit this button. If they opt to hit this button, it sends us information and we can fix their phone.
And that's why they're logging keystrokes, because it's a diagnostics program that responds to, you know, *22 or whatever. It's looking for a string of characters that you hit on the keyboard and then it activates.
Right.
By the way, that's a dragon slayer. I just wanted you to know.
How much of
Dvorak? I'm sorry.
I'd like to know how much of the bandwidth that these crazy things are chewing up doing all this calling home. And by the way, there's a company up in Canada called SpyCop who is one of the earliest keylogger breakers. I mean, they essentially have software that allows you to find spyware, not the Trojan horse generated stuff, but stuff where somebody goes on your machine and sticks a keylogger on there.
Our somebody in the chat room is saying, well, the reason this is a problem is because Carrier IQ is not your phone company. I don't see why this would be any worse. Is not your phone company. So we assumed the phone company knew everything, but now some third party also knows everything. I guess that makes it marginally worse.
But Carrier IQ also says we're not collecting the information. This is a tool we sell. Other people play with the tool. What they do with it, like the hammer, what they do with the tool may be up to what settings they use, how they employ it, what the end user opts in on. And the truth is this is going to take a lot of work to try to figure out what everybody's doing with this, and if anybody's doing anything with this.
I think jail time should be involved.
Really?
Well, we did such a great job challenging the people that took out the economy in Wall Street. Let's go after a small company that's screwing around with cell phones.
Right.
Why not?
I don't think we have the full story yet. I mean,
that's what I'd like.
It's not going to be good. It's not going to be pretty.
My understanding is that they're not sending the information over.
Apparently
that it's just sloppy and they're storing way too much information.
You've got a positive attitude. I like that.
I'm just here to counterbalance you on the other side of the table.
I thought I was being chipper.
So, well, all right. Well, what do you think is going to happen? Carrier IQ says we collect data for performance information, which we sell back to the companies that subscribe to our service. We don't care what SMS message you send. Do you think that they are gathering other data on our users?
I don't know. There's going to be a Senate hearing. Franken will be in that committee because it's one of the ones he's in. And there's going to be a lot of blather, and we'll find out. I kind of agree with the other side of the table that
there's more to the story than we know.
The story we don't know. I think what we know,
right.
which is what minor.
There is, of course, a class action wiretap suit saying they violated federal wiretap laws. The suit is against Carrier IQ, HTC, and Samsung.
Could be a. You might want to get in on that. You probably get a check for $10.
$10.43.
Yeah, well, this is easy, free money.
140 million phones and tablets have this stuff on them.
Yeah, that's actually a funny point, the $10, because there's been some research that, into the idea of actively selling your personal information, because companies
Well, they're going to collect it.
Yeah.
Let's do a fair trade. Don't just take it.
The problem with that is that
that's what we do with Facebook, right?
Right.
Really?
Well,
I
maybe.
get a free service. I know they're getting some information. That's fair.
So the phone should be free.
The problem with that is that people vastly overestimate how much their personal information is worth.
Yeah, how much is it really worth?
Probably a few dollars. Yeah.
Depends on if you're a stock market trader, that's worth quite a bit of money.
I don't know. I mean, it's worth something to Facebook. If Facebook's evaluation, and by the way,
only in aggregate, though.
In aggregate,
with millions and millions.
Not the end of. Yeah, they have 800 million users. They're worth, apparently, according to the rumor, that they're going to have an IPO at $10 billion that will value them at $100 billion. That's a pretty valuable company based on collecting people's data smog. So I mean, it's worth something, but you're right, in aggregate. So actually, if you do the math, if they're worth $100 billion and they have 800 million users, we're each worth what, $1.58.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Could be worth a lot more than that. I mean, I was just listening on the way up, as a matter of fact, of some guy discussing. He was one of the guys at News of the World, who just was in front of a hearing, and he says, everybody tapped the phones. He says this stuff, it was worth a fortune. You hear all these messages, you find out what you're doing, you could blackmail people, you could do all these different things. And it was like that information was quite valuable if you're a celebrity at some level, and you collect this information. So I don't believe that only in aggregate is this stuff worth anything.
And why did Carrier ID record these keystrokes if it did? And again, I think there's some question, but if it did, why did it record it to this log? That's not something you would normally do, is record every keystroke.
In the Verge article, Carrier IQ basically says it's not our log file. It's the manufacturer's log file, or it's the carrier's log file. Do we put stuff in there? Absolutely, but only after the carrier or the manufacturer.
And was it Sergeant Schultz that said this?
I know nothing. All right, well, it's a great story.
What happened to being benign? Now you brought fascism into it by way of bad 60s comedy.
It's actually quite good 60s comedy.
Actually, I agree with you.
Hogan's Heroes?
Come on.
You can't laugh at Hogan's
Genius. Lawrence Marks, one of the greatest TV writers in history.
Who?
That's pushing
Lawrence Marks.
Lawrence Marks, the guy who wrote that. Huh?
Yeah, who wrote most of the good episodes. They could wind four stories.
How did this happen?
4 stories together like nobody else.
What? Hogan's Heroes?
Yeah. You ever watched Hogan's Heroes?
Apparently, I didn't pay attention.
It's a structural, it's an amazing structural product.
You're kidding.
No, not kidding.
There's actually an interesting article in the New York Times last Sunday about the death of television comedy. That nothing new has happened.
Because guys like you,
since Sherwood Schwartz. Or what's his name?
Sergeant Schultz.
Sergeant Schultz? No, the guy who created wrote these. Beautiful.
Lawrence Marks?
Lawrence Marks. We're going to take a break because this has just gone down. AT&T, we'll talk about AT&T T-Mobile. SOPA on the ROPA. But now the movie industry says, no, don't worry about it. We'll fix it. We'll make it better. We'll bring it back. Kindle Fire, doing well. Spotify, big announcement. Lots more to talk about.
So we got the one topic, and we're already going to a break?
That's a pretty big topic. We spent 15 minutes on it. You want to talk more about this?
No, I'm done.
You want to do something? I wanted to give you some time to enjoy your red vines.
Oh, that's what these are?
Yeah.
I told you.
There's 2 types of people. There's the red vines, and what's that other brand? Twizzlers, yeah.
Oh, are those? I don't know. They might be Twizzlers. I'm sorry.
No, these are red vines.
You can tell.
You can tell because the other kind, no offense to the Twizzler eaters, are terrible.
They're waxy.
Red vines are waxy.
Twizzlers are inedible.
Red vines are waxy. Twizzlers are inedible.
You should have left it at the at the
Hogan's Heroes.
Hogan's
It's actually gotten worse. I didn't think it could. Would you like to borrow the hammer? Let's talk a little bit about Go to My PC. The holidays are here. Bad weather, sick days, travel. You may not be in the office very much. I think I'm only in the office a couple of weeks in December. Doesn't mean you can't get work done. Go to My PC lets you use your iPad to access your office computer. So here's what you do before you...
What size pockets do you have?
I'm like Captain Kangaroo. I got all sorts of stuff in here. I got hammers. I got iPads. Before you go away for the break, before you get sick for the holidays, before you decide that you just don't want to work anymore, install Go to My PC from Citrix on your office computer. You can actually do it free for 30 days at gotomypc.com. Use the offer code TWiT. There it is. Go to mypc.com. Click the try it free button. TWiT for the promo code. Now, you got it on your PC. Now, hit the road. You can use the free iPad app. You can use any computer you log into and securely connect to your office computer, Mac or PC, anywhere you're online. You can run any program, access any network resource, send and receive any email. It's just like you're at work. Even on the iPad, it's so weird and wacky to be using a desktop computer on your iPad, but it works great. Your office computer just a click away. You don't have to work, but at least you know if you need to, you can. Go to mypc.com/twit. Actually, I'm sorry, no. Go to mypc.com, click the orange button, the try it free button, and then enter TWIT in the offer code, and you can try it free for 30 days. Big fan. Wouldn't go anywhere without installing Go to My PC first. We are going somewhere, by the way, tomorrow. I'm heading to France. Eileen Rivera, the producer of this show, is already there. Sarah Lane is already there. And we are getting ready for the Le Web Conference. You could find out more on our blog, TWiT in Paris. Wednesday, December 7th, we begin our broadcast day. Now, she's giving it in Paris time at 12:15, which is 3:15 in the morning California time, 6:15 East Coast time. So early in the morning on Wednesday, tune in. We'll probably chop this up and put it on specials, maybe even rerun it. But we're going to be interviewing Kevin Rose on the main stage. Sarah and I will be doing that. And then more big names, people like Dave Morin, Eric Schmidt, Marissa, what's her name? I should probably learn her name.
What's her name?
You know
yeah, and that other guy. What do you call
What's
him?
his name? You can watch the stream at loweb.net. They have a stream of their speakers, and then we'll pull them into our... Oh, I want to see the studio. I haven't seen this yet. Our LeWeb studio. They're building it right there. No. Go to my screen. My screen. Oh, you got it? There you go. See? This is our LeWeb IBM studio. They're tilting up the walls even as we speak. That should be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
Look at the size of this thing.
I know, it's huge.
Is this live?
No, this isn't live.
So you have like, there's French union workers are going to walk out on you.
Yeah, I know. It'll be done in August, just in time. So join us as we talk to some of the biggest names in technology all Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning.
You're going to do some big to-do like this at the CES show, big giant studio?
We won't do it something like this. We have a Sky booth.
Well, why is this so? How'd they give you all this room?
I don't know. It's Le Week. They're French. They do it. They do it up. You know, Wednesday I'm meeting President Sarkozy. We're having a reception at the Palace.
You gonna get to meet his wife?
I hope so. Hope Carla's there. She's something.
You did some kind of internet summit there.
We were going to do.
Right?
I was going to do the E8 summit, and I couldn't make it. We sent Jeff Jarvis in my place, and he I don't hope that President Sarkozy doesn't remember that. Because Jeff really was confrontational. He said, "You're ruining the internet." And he did. He said that. So anyway, that'll be interesting. So that's coming up next week. I won't be here, but Tom Merritt will be holding down the fort. And then what are we doing for TWiT? Is Tom going to do TWiT? I guess next Sunday Tom Merritt will host TWiT. But obviously I'll be using Go to My PC to stay in touch. AT&T T-Mobile. AT&T says the FCC document on the T-Mobile buy lacks all credibility. They're fighting hard to keep this alive, even though they've already taken a $4 billion charge. Is there any hope for the AT&T T-Mobile merger at all? Is it over? I hope so.
I think they still have a shot.
Really?
I do too.
They can redesign it and
no, they're already playing this game where we're like, what if we do this? What if we do that?
Right.
Let's
What
sell
if it's
this.
a joint venture?
What if the thing was established from the beginning with this thesis? we're not going to make this deal happen. So here's what we'll do. We'll ask for too much, and then we'll have a fallback position where we can give away a bunch of stuff, and then they'll probably let us
negotiate.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
It's quite possible they're going to be still doing this deal somehow.
The latest option that the New York Times reported is that they would sell off some of T-Mobile subscribers to Leap Wireless and turn them into the new T-Mobile, kind of boost them up a bit, and then take T-Mobile spectrum.
Yeah, which could have been planned in advance.
Yeah. Yeah.
They come out smelling like a rose and saving money.
That's usually what happens in these things, right? The government objects, the companies regroup, and they come back with something the government can agree to.
Yeah, but this is also, I mean,
Now, see, I don't know why, if you're sitting in the audience watching the show, you would need to listen to it.
It's like going to a ball game.
This is like people at the baseball game so I can watch the replay on the camera.
What did John say? Let me listen.
I mean, I'm not a, despite the fact that I've been giving them money ever since I bought an iPhone, I'm not a big AT&T fan.
Who is?
AT&T, yeah, I don't think anybody is. AT&T's done a spectacular job of slowly reassembling the monopoly that was broken up, you know, 1,000 years ago.
Right.
They've done.
Bell is back, baby.
They do things like they have, you know, technical engineer or like engineering. I can't remember the name of the people that generated the report, but a few years ago when everybody got upset that, you know, you're paying for X megabits per second of download capacity, and they were like, no. We do that like a web page at a time. But if you really want full speed, this is what it would cost you, you know, per month, and it was like $400 versus like, you know, $50 for DSL connectivity. It's like we're selling you like a web page at a time. We don't want you to actually do large downloads. We're not selling you 24-hour access to this internet speed. AT&T's so fundamentally slimy in Washington. AT&T and Verizon spent over $11 million lobbying on the Hill, and lo and behold, the FCC decides not to regulate wireless internet, you know?
Right.
AT&T has been the highest spender of lobbying of any business in the country for at least the last year.
That's not because they think their interests are in the, you know, that's because they want what they want, and what they want is higher profits, and they don't really care about what goes down. And T-Mobile, I mean, I'm not arguing that T-Mobile doesn't have issues, but T-Mobile has forced other carriers to step up their game. I don't know. It's messy.
That's why I always like having this scrappy little underdog, the AMD who's keeping Intel honest, or the T-Mobile who's keeping AT&T honest. Now, you're going to have to explain this to me. Verizon is buying billions of dollars worth of spectrum from Comcast, Time Warner, unused spectrum apparently. Well, first of all, why do these cable companies have this spectrum? And what is Verizon going to do with it? They're paying $3.6 billion for spectrum licenses from Time Warner, Comcast, and Bright House Networks.
Well, spectrum's a rare commodity. We are out of spectrum.
Right.
Right. We've taken the spectrum back from analog television. We've auctioned off the last of the spectrum. You know, who knows what, you know, the cable companies are planning on doing with it. Maybe they thought they were going to do wireless internet delivery. Maybe they thought they were going to start.
So they've never really used it.
I don't think so.
Yeah. And maybe this is the whole reason, at least according to this article in CNET written by Marguerite Reardon, for the AT&T T-Mobile merger. T-Mobile, according to Craig Moffat, an analyst with Sanford Bernstein, poor T-Mobile. Verizon just ran off with the last pretty girl in the bar. It's a good line. What does it mean?
Well, it means that
there's no more spectrum? Are they done?
The cable companies, you know, a bunch of companies created a consortium to buy this spectrum. They paid like $2.4 billion for it. They're selling it for, what, $3.5 billion, $3.6 billion. So they picked up $1 billion. That's always good.
Yeah. And some spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
I think Verizon realized. I talked to the CTO just maybe 8 months ago, and he said, we're in no spectrum crunch at Verizon. We're fine on spectrum. Right. But I think Verizon probably realized AT&T might not get this deal, and the next place they're going to look is to buy a ton of spectrum. So if we don't get it now, it's going to be a lot more expensive.
Pulled it off the market, in other words. Yeah. So would you use it for LTE for existing technologies, or would you set up something else? It's another frequency, right?
Well,
so
Verizon said the airwaves would open up access to 259 million potential customers for its newest generation 4G LTE service.
So they would use that for LTE then?
Presumably. I mean,
I'm sorry, I'm just so unclear. So spectrum is frequency, is some frequency.
A chunk of bandwidth.
It's a chunk of bandwidth. So,
but does anybody ever say what bandwidth this is that they're buying up? I mean,
I don't
where
see it
is it
anywhere.
high? Is it low? Is it the 700? Is it the
Verizon's going to get the amount is 20
megahertz,
megahertz, which is quite a bit. That's 4 TV channels worth, but it doesn't say where.
What I
don't understand is your
1700
phone
megahertz band.
Okay, so this phone doesn't have 1700 megahertz, so you have to make new phones. You have to your towers. You have to put in new cell sites with new frequencies.
that's okay.
That's okay.
That's a tax write-off.
So they buy the spectrum, and now they have the spectrum. They can rejigger their entire LTE rollout to use this spectrum instead.
Well, part of the reason they bought T-Mobile was because it's already a GSM provider. I'm talking about AT&T.
Right.
T-Mobile's already GSM.
That's easy for them to accommodate. Same frequencies.
They can push all of their 2G traffic onto T-Mobile's equipment and then use AT&T's existing sites for LTE.
Right.
It was just an easy transition for them. Verizon, probably saw an opportunity. They probably saw that this spectrum that the cable companies hold would get a lot more expensive when there are more buyers looking for it. So they bought it now, and maybe they'll use it for 5G. Maybe they'll,
It feels like such a Machiavellian chess game. Because, okay, here's another thing. These companies, Comcast, Time Warner, were partners with Sprint on Clearwire, Sprint's WiMAX-based 4G. Now they're going to pull out a Clearwire. So Sprint's left holding the bag with this kind of crappy 4G that didn't work very well.
Everybody in Portland says it works fine.
In Portland, it works. It doesn't work. I've tried it in Vegas, the only place I've tried it. I've never.
You said it was good.
No, I did not.
I thought you did.
No, I was underwhelmed. Anybody like Clearwire, Sprint's 4G?
Does anybody get it?
I've Sprint's 4G from Sprint, not from Clearwire.
But it's
Clearwire is about to fold for all intents and purposes. They're also probably going to end up in their own class action lawsuit because people aren't getting the speeds they were promised or the bandwidth they were promised, and they're profoundly pissed off about that. Sprint's 4G, they just took unlimited Sprint 4G, so I'm walking away from Sprint after using them for half a decade.
Sprint now will have 110 megahertz of spectrum. AT&T has 90. That's something I can understand. That's 20 more.
Right.
Wow. We've gotten to the bottom of it.
They go to 11.
This is so complicated. We're gonna, I've had offers in the past, I know that
like Sasha Sagan from PC Mag.
Exactly. Well, there are telecom experts out there who listen to the show, and they go, "You guys just don't understand this. I don't." And so we're going to get somebody on, and they can explain to me what the hell is going on.
This week in telecom.
Oh, it'll be fascinating. All right, something a little more fascinating. Herman Cain dropped out of the race this week. Were you following the tweet storms?
He quoted from the Pokemon song. That I did see.
When you quote from a Pokemon song, you know you're going to get it from Twitter, right? And I think he was there were a lot of funny tweets. Let's see here. These are collated from Mashable collated. Rumors of extramarital affair, end campaign of presidential candidate. Herman Cain asked the Secret Service to stay on a few weeks until credible threats from his wife subside. These are going too fast. Wait a minute. I believe these words came from the Pokemon movie. Cain said, "Pika, Pika, Pikachu." Did he say that?
No. He quoted from a part of the song.
That would be funny.
And he said a great poet once said, it wasn't like gotta catch them all, but it was,
great
it's from the Pokemons.
Anna Marie Cox, who writes for, or is an NPR reporter, not to be outdone, Rick Perry just put out a press release citing the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The hashtag, by the way, CainWreck. Ouch. There were quite a few. It was very active. Newt Gingrich. Frankly, if I want Herman Cain's endorsement, I may start quoting My Little Pony. Friendship is magic.
Is that actually his feed?
Yes. Glenn Fleischman, another journalist. Cain's campaign is suspended as in the way a brick when dropped suspends itself in the air. They used that apparently. We're going to suspend our campaign. John Fugelsang. Herman Cain tells the crowd it's time for... Oh, I can't read this. Plan B, and half of America replies, that's what she said. I don't get it, but I like it. Anyway, the Twitterverse was enjoying.
Someone points out that was not Newt's feed. It was a Newt clone feed.
Oh, it was a Newt clone. Okay. Too bad, because that was a good line.
Yeah, you're not going to get a good line from Newt.
No. He is a historian. Really? That's not his feed?
It's what someone in the chat room.
Is it the Newt?
Which I believe. The chat room is the...
They are never wrong.
It is the
they are never
Greek
wrong.
chorus.
Oh, and I get it now.
Time.
Plan B is a birth control, day after birth control drug.
Oh, let's just...
Now I get it.
New subject.
Well, I wanted a little interpretation, that's all.
I know.
All right, enough. New subject. We'll move on. Credible threats from his wife's side. I like that. I get that now.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one. Wayne Gretzky, speaking of Twitter, closes his daughter's Twitter feed.
You don't want to scroll too much farther. It gets naughty. I clicked. I saw the link. It's
twice.
Like, yeah.
What happened?
Apparently, she's posting
She's
pictures
posting
he
pictures.
doesn't approve of.
Oh, you mean sexting?
Should I look at this? Wait a minute.
No,
it's not
don't
that.
show my...
Interesting. No, it's not that
it's
bad. It's not
cute.
sexting.
How old
it's
is she?
kind of... Yeah, there's an issue. How old is she?
She's 22.
Okay.
How can he even
Please.
shut down her feed?
She's 22?
And the Toronto Globe and Mail said the pictures were saucy.
Well, apparently, actually,
The Toronto Globe and Mail?
Gretzky apparently doesn't want to have the fourth Kardashian daughter.
He's probably right. Yeah.
How he can shut her feed down is completely inexplicable.
Twice. All right. Well, we'll move on to a tech subject. How about that?
Yeah, there's a thought.
So the guy at the Motion Picture Association of America says, we'll fix SOPA so that it's okay. And then you'll like it. There's a
I thought the SOPA thing, I heard the guys on NPR, the great news hour show, grilling, or not grilling, they weren't grilling anybody, but it was the guy from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce going on and on about how this was really about, stopping all these counterfeit sites with Rolexes. And,
enforcing the law
killing
against
American
criminals.
jobs, because these jobs all these Americans that make Rolexes are going to be out of work.
Well, if you were trying to get SOPA or IP Protect passed, that's what you would say.
Oh, I'd come up with a bogus, a whole complete bull crap.
But isn't that what it is? I mean, from their point of view?
It's like it was interesting watching the Senate hearing that was staged for that, where it was like, the Chamber of Congress, union representatives, Hollywood representatives, and then they think they got like one, was it Google they chose as the voice against SOPA?
Right.
And Google walks in basically buying, Google assembles a massive consortium of tech companies that employ tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people.
Right. If
and
you
they're
want to
like,
talk jobs.
Let's talk jobs.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about hypothetical. It's funny. It's like, while this is going on, we basically have Homeland Security taking websites, seizing websites from people that are posting links to I should double check. I'm pretty sure it's Department of Homeland Security, seizing websites for companies that are selling counterfeit goods, or I believe they're also still going after BitTorrent feeds. And it's kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, it's like, it's not that I don't want to protect American industry. I'm just like, isn't Department of Homeland Security supposed to be doing things like scanning containers, for nuclear devices and helping out with the war on terror and all that other stuff?
Well, you know what the problem is?
Those bootleg movies could have hidden messages.
If you have, what you do is you find the agency that has the most power,
money,
effectiveness, and the least oversight, and you say, hey, you guys, you could help us. And that's exactly what they're
like
doing.
any government agency, they like to take on more and more responsibilities, because then they get the bigger budget the next year, and they get to grow and grow and grow. That's the way it works.
Well, who was it? Was it the Motion Picture Association that ran the ad saying that like pirating movies funds terrorists? Or
Yeah,
something?
that's right.
Yeah.
Movies.
Yeah. I mean, one of the more interesting things that happened.
They may be right, by the way.
Well,
I mean, all sorts of or any kind of crime can be used to fund
terrorism. Yeah,
right?
So can running casinos.
That's absolutely. So can donut shops.
Yep.
Fund terrorists, no problem.
Now the MPAA, the MPAA basically wrote SOPA.
Yes.
They actually, the language is
Really,
there.
I thought it was really about counterfeit Rolexes. That's weird.
No, it's about motion pictures.
Huh.
So the MPAA, who wrote it in the first place, say they will be toning down the bill and addressing some of the legitimate concerns. Michael O'Leary, who's the head of the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, says he has been huddling with politicians from both parties.
I'll bet he has.
That's such a bad image to have. The head of the MPAA is huddling. They talk about the backroom deals, you know.
Yeah.
Well, this
He's holding a wad of cash.
I went. Yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. I mean, I went off on Texzilla a couple 3 weeks ago about this because one of the companies that's hired to flood torrent hosting sites, basically to do DNS sites, saw that there were BitTorrent hosting being done on revision3.com.
I know.
Therefore, because
shocking.
And there was large
and it was
video
blocked.
files.
It was blocked.
They nuked our website.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we finally tracked someone down there, and basically they were like, oops. And at that point, I looked at Jim like, come on, get the lawyers. Get the lawyers. Get the sharks. Get the attack lawyers. He's like, let's just walk away from this while we still can. But
I remember when that happened.
But this is, you know, and these are the people who want to be like, I want to be able to turn off the DNS hosting for any website that I'm pissed off at.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you want
Break
those guys?
DNS, black hole DNS listing, fundamentally breaking the integral heart of the internet, or at least in terms of HTTP exchanges. That creeps me out.
Yeah.
Because these people, you know, they make great movies sometimes. They make crappy movies sometimes. They're great at movies. They're really an incredible financial organization that uses movies to gather money and distribute it. But, man, I do not want them holding a kill switch on any portion of the internet, and certainly not re-architecting DNS.
I am with you.
And the senators that are backing them probably shouldn't be allowed to change how DNS works either. But, you know.
It's just a bunch of tubes. You just
not trucks.
You just
Not a big truck.
You re-steer the tube. So, how many of you have Kindle Fires?
I reviewed one and gave it back.
Really? No interest.
You didn't like it?
I bought one. I like it.
Well, you like everything.
You buy everything.
No, I liked it too. Actually, I think it's like the.
Do you have it with you, Leo?
It fills a sweet spot.
Where is it?
Totally.
Let's see it.
It's in the other room.
Can you bring the Kindle Fire out?
Yeah, would you bring?
Oh, yeah, he's got one right
Bring
here.
out the Kindle Fire. Well, I have mine. We don't. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. You hadn't played with it yet. First of all, it's the best Android tablet out there because they've highly customized Android. It doesn't feel like Android. I like it.
It just turned itself off.
It's in the drawer to the left of my on the left
this?
there.
Button.
I don't think it matches the iPad in any respect, but
No,
I
it's
think
not
there's
supposed to.
definitely a market for a tablet that you could buy 2 of these and still have $100 left over for apps and movies. And
Right.
There you go. Empty bookshelf.
You can play Plants vs. Zombies. You can play Words with Friends.
Angry Birds.
You can play Angry Birds.
Well, it's just also. This is kind of also giving away razors to sell blades because this is all about creating a portal to Amazon.com
Right,
and its
which is-
services.
although they're
very
not
good
totally locking, Netflix
Right.
has an app for this now, so they're not
Right.
locking out competitors, which is good.
All right. I can read the New York Times on it.
I think they're going to sell a ton of these for this
People-
holiday season.
Well, they say, too, that they are. In
It's got a
fact,
herky-jerk quality.
yeah, see, that's what people say.
Well, it has
I
a
don't-
junky processor. And, I mean, inside this thing
Where's
is
the herky-jerk?
It's come on, but herky-jerk, it's terrible.
I see no herking, nor do I see any jerking.
There's jerking and herking.
Where's the herky? I'm of the opinion there must. Let me play with that because
I'd be curious to see if.
what's herky-jerky about this?
Go to the main. Go to
He
the
was
home.
on the main.
Well, he's not now. Go to.
Well,
It's
okay,
home.
if I do this,
It's herky-jerky.
what?
Here, give it. Come on. Well, maybe it's you. Maybe.
What's herky-jerky?
What John wants you to do is go to the homepage.
Okay,
the
I'm at the
homepage.
homepage.
And then you flip
Do
through
the
these
cover
things. And
flow?
this is terrible.
What's terrible?
Look at it.
What are you
It's
talking
a
about?
mess. It's a herky-jerky. Look at that.
You are a man of superior aesthetics, John, and
If you
apparently
open
this is not
something,
the
it,
tablet
like,
for you.
slowly pops.
Can you play movies on it? Yes.
Yeah.
Do they look
Yeah.
good?
Yeah.
Can you
Well,
read books on it?
actually the movies are somewhat herky-jerky. And I don't know if that's the problem is I can't tell if that's a bandwidth thing or if it's
bandwidth. It's not
I think
not
we
a
have
bandwidth thing.
I think we have a lot of bandwidth here.
You have so much bandwidth. It's ludicrous.
So what do you want to watch?
There's a
Parks
black
and Recs?
helicopter flying
So
around.
if you're a Prime member, which I am, you get these are all free, which is nice. Here, let's watch a little Family. Actually, that's not good because it's not. I'm sorry. Let's not do
no
animated.
porn. No porn.
No. It's just let's not do animated. Let's do something with video.
Action.
Okay, I just watched this. A good documentary. Dr. Bronner's Magic Soap.
I love Dr. Bronner.
Don't you?
So.
Everybody loves Dr. Bronner. Here he is with his wife, Mrs. Bronner.
Well, that's not a very action-packed scene.
It's moving nice and smoothly.
He's watching a documentary.
Look how smooth that is. Look how. Okay, I'll
It's
jump.
like that guy from.
I'll jump ahead. I'll jump ahead. Maybe there's more.
There's nothing more. This is a documentary.
All right.
There's another good test of the processor.
All right. What you want an action movie, right? See, this doesn't feel. This feels pretty snappy. This is all jumping around. You want an action movie? Let's see here. Let's see. Top 10. In the Name of the Father, with that looks like what's his name? Daniel Day-Lewis. Let's watch that. That's Irish terrorists, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, it should be. Get to the gun shooting scene.
Look at that. This is good. Is that a little? Maybe it's a little herky.
Oh, it's terrible. Look at it.
Yeah,
oh,
look
it's
at
stop.
See
Oh
the
my
hesitation?
God! They can't even do a logo.
Now I don't know if that is if that's the bandwidth. I think that might be the processor. I don't know.
I think it probably is.
Yeah.
But it's really not that big of a deal. I think people are willing.
If you
to
don't
pay.
give a crap.
For $200, I think a lot don't. I do know a lot of parents that are getting this. I know it's black now. I don't know a lot of parents who are getting this for their kids.
I thought you moved in, then you came up. I was thinking you're in the movie.
I mean, this is usable. I love the form factor.
I'm not saying it's not usable.
I'll take this on the plane to watch movies on the plane. I think that's good.
I'd rather have my
Well, it's
laptop.
also-
Look at the difference in screen size. If I want to watch a movie, I'll watch it on a big laptop screen.
Yeah, but you know, if you think about it, John, if you hold it like this, all you got to do is hold it like
you
this.
get closer.
And then it's widescreen. So really, it doesn't. It's just how close it is.
This is starting to sound like the advertisements for the little glasses that contain the equivalent to a 77-inch LCD flat panel inside our glasses.
I don't know why, but I feel some affinity for this, and I hate. I feel like I want to defend it.
It's a simple. It's basically a simple, easy to navigate user face.
because you hate
It's tied
Apple.
into Amazon.
I don't hate Apple. I'm not fond of it, but I know I have everything I have is Apple.
Yeah.
I have an iPad. It's stuck in my butt right here. Look, I show you.
Yeah, you showed it a minute ago.
So I mean,
There's $2,000 worth of Apple hardware within freaking 18 inches of the man that belongs to him. I think it's safe to say, even if he hates
2,000
Apple, it's a
is a low
complicated
number.
relationship, and they're getting his money. But the thing is, though, this is the gateway. They're gonna release one for $250.
It'll get better.
They'll sell a ton of them, and
It'll
within
get
2
better.
years, they'll have a $99 version, and then there'll be one that you basically get with a freaking Amazon Plus membership in 3 years.
You know, about 50 years from now, they're going to be fantastic.
In 50 years from now, it's going to be a jack.
Look how fast Amazon iterated the original Kindle. The first one was really kind of ugly and funny looking, and now they're really quite slick.
I mean, the problem is when Amazon dropped the Kindle, it was a pretty revolutionary piece of hardware. Not because other people weren't using e-ink, but because they had kind of a super easy, well thought out system for getting books into people's hands.
It was kind of like the iPod for books. It was clever.
And I know my wife, for example, like I handed it to her before we took this like 7-day road trip. She's like, ebook, and like 7 days later,
she's a librarian. We should point out.
Yeah, she'd read 3 novels on it, 2 of which she downloaded in literally the middle of nowhere in Nevada and Utah. And she was like, "This is amazing!" And she's getting her blog feeds on it. She's super excited.
Let me ask you this: if okay, so for $50 more, you can get one without hesitation, which is called the Nook tablet. It's double the RAM. It's faster, and it doesn't have that hesitation. But it's from Barnes & Noble. Would you buy that or this?
I would get this. It has the movie
It's Amazon.
store, and it's
Right.
I mean, it's more of the complete package.
Right. How long
which
is Barnes &
even
Noble going to even be in business?
Even the $500 Android tablets don't have some of the great, movie store and TV streaming services and bookstore, all of that built in.
Now, have you played with Patrick with the Asus Transformer?
I have not.
It's quite beautiful. Now, that's an Android tablet that has a dock. It goes on a keyboard.
Well, I mean,
I don't think Android's ready, really, to be honest with you. For a tablet, this is
Lenovo
the only,
has something fairly simple. I think
the only Android tablet I would use, to be honest. What is that? That's it.
he's browsing casually through the New Oxford American Dictionary.
Does it feel somewhat stuttering and hesitating to you?
Yeah, look. It's terrible.
I should also point out that part of what he's doing is something that
nobody would do, which is this.
Do you do this a lot when you're using the
Nobody
dictionary?
does
That's
that.
stuttering!
Nobody does
Son
that.
of a bitch, I can't use
Stuttering.
this.
I can't
Exactly.
do that. Actually, some researchers I saw.
Okay, I just do one way. Look, it still stutters. It's just,
Yeah, but you know what? You flip the. Do you read the page while you're turning it?
Yes.
That's
You don't mind.
impressive.
Here, give him the hammer.
No, it's this guy's machine.
I know, I was trying to scare him.
I give it back to him.
Put that back there.
Well, okay, let me ask you this. So I think we'd all agree that the iPad is if price were no object, that's the one to get.
Definitely.
But price is an object. I mean, we can't eliminate that from the equation. And I think that for some people, this is a better choice than the iPad because it's 7 inches and.
Well, I wrote in my review, the iPad's tagline is a magical and revolutionary product at an unbelievable price.
Yes.
The last qualifier is going to need to be removed.
Can't say it
because
an
now it
unbelievable
looks expensive.
They're pushing it up to $1,200.
Do remember, though, that we all, in January 2010, when they announced the iPad, we all predicted it to be $1,000, $800. I was shocked. I'm sure everybody was. That it was $500.
But it's been almost 2 years now.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Well, I think it's also that it's going to be interesting to watch what happens, whether or not Apple starts chasing more of the low end now that Steve Jobs is not running.
I can't imagine them doing that. Why should they?
Because at some point it becomes a battle. At some point in the next 5 years, it becomes less of a battle over hardware distribution than over music and movie and content distribution.
I was talking. I have
actually, Google. I mean, Google's got the capacity. It's interesting to watch what may or may not be rolling out at Google in kind of the back in terms of what they're doing with movie distribution and other forms of content.
I agree. I think that Apple has not yet demonstrated that it understands the cloud at all. It understands hardware very well, and I don't know if going forward, hardware is going to be as important as understanding cloud, the network.
Wait. Google doesn't understand cloud, or Apple
doesn't understand cloud. Google understands it very well.
Well, Google, yeah, Google also
look at Mobile Me and look at iCloud. I think
iCloud's done okay. I think. I mean, they signed up 20 million people in less than a week, and it's stayed up. It hasn't.
It's not that. It's just that it's kind of opaque what it does, how to use it.
Well, a better example of Apple fail at kind of social media or cloud would be Ping. What was the point of Ping?
Ping's bad. And Find My Friends, they've done nothing with. They released a social network and, barely mentioned it in the keynote.
I think that Steve Jobs, I've said this before, but I think Steve Jobs' real talent was physical. It was goods. He was brilliant at that. And I think that he didn't really understand cloud and internet as well. And as a result, Apple doesn't have that kind of knowledge. And they can acquire it. In fact, they're trying to hire executives for their cloud initiative, but I just think that that's where they're going to need to get good if they want to. I don't think it's low end. I think they got to know cloud.
Okay, the other $64,000 question is cloud going to get kicked to the curb in the next 18 to 36 months as the major ISPs are starting to shove lower and lower caps on home internet usage.
Well, that's another issue. I think in the long run that's going to lose,
because that bothers me a lot more. Whether
I agree with you.
Whether it's Amazon or Apple or Google as a source of content, it's much more irritating to me that the carriers seem to be able to pretty much shove through, or the ISPs pretty much seem to be able to shove through whatever caps they want.
Well, that's where push is going to come to shove, isn't it? Because all of the stuff, including the stuff we do today here, require bandwidth and more bandwidth. It's not going to be less and less bandwidth, and it's going to be Netflix and everybody else who are saying, wait a minute, you can't cut back on our bandwidth. And that is, I think that's a big fight that's still to come. There's actually, I'm going to see if I can find the article, because John and I have had this battle before. My essential position is that bits are basically free. Remember that battle we had?
Yeah. As far as you're concerned, it doesn't cost anything to do any of this. It's all free.
Well, here's a great article.
That's a summary, by the way.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Here's a great article from Ars Technica, Nate Anderson. He's quoting a researcher named Benoit. What is his name? I'm going to find his name. But it's his position that, in fact, data consumption, it's Benoit Felton, Chief Research Officer at Diffraction Analysis. Data consumption is at best a poor proxy for bandwidth usage. Now, this is not intuitive, so you'll forgive me if that may sound like a confusing thing. What he did is he asked internet service providers to provide him with raw data so that he could test his thesis. Finally, a mid-sized American DSL provider gave him fine-grade detail over the course of a single day, 5,000 users. They broke that down, analyzed it, and essentially came up with the solution that controlling real-time congestion by going after high data monthly users is ineffective.
Right.
Going after the, quote, bandwidth hogs is not how you solve Congestion. Data caps, he says, are very crude and unfair tool when it comes to targeting potentially disruptive users. The correlation between real-time, and this is why these caps are bad, the correlation between real-time bandwidth usage and data downloaded over time is weak. In other words, just because you're using a lot of bandwidth doesn't mean you're using a lot of data.
It could be. I could be using 20 kilobits per second, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And suck a huge amount of data, even though your bandwidth is not very high.
Versus, I mean, I had an interesting conversation.
I never thought that. Sorry, but I never thought bandwidth and data. I don't think that was the basic argument that we were having. We were having a data argument, not a bandwidth argument.
Well, right now the restriction is bandwidth.
So you got a big
right?
bandwidth. Okay, so I got 200 down and 100 up, and I'm sitting there, doing email. I'm not using anything. I'm not doing
Which is
it
exactly what AT&T wants. They want you to pay for 200.
I don't care about that. It's like if I'm downloading movie after movie after movie 24/7 on even the lesser connection, that seems to be the problem.
The issue is not excessive use, it's when you're using it.
It's if I'm using 4 megabits downloading a movie along with everybody else in my neighborhood at 8 o'clock at night.
That's the problem.
I may only be using 30, I may only be going through like 100 gigabytes of data, but I could do like a lot more damage overall to bandwidth capacity than somebody who's basically downloading in the background.
Cable operators already throttle that. I mean, at peak times, you'll get slower.
Which means everybody gets sucky performance, and we can't watch Netflix. So they're really they're hitting it at two different directions. They're going after the 250 gigabyte plus users, even though those guys may not, in fact, according to this data, are not impacting congestion.
Right.
They're doing it in the morning. Think about it. If you're one of these guys.
In the morning?
Yeah, if you're. In the morning. If you're downloading a lot of data. He got it.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
That's a no agenda listener right there. There's one. He's also, by the way, the same guy who plays Skyrim 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Well,
there's your audience.
Part of what
there you go.
But I think this is important because they're going after these big bandwidth hogs. Bandwidth hogs are smart enough to use it in off hours because they want fast downloads.
Right. But part of what's interesting, Broadband reports, DSLreports.com, one of the things they point out is that the Bloomberg article that was the source of this, watching Netflix could lead to higher cable bills, is basically quoting one Wall Street analyst. And this is a Wall Street analyst that's basically been going, you know what, it's time to lower those data caps and get more overage charges because that worked for credit card companies.
Right.
It works for cell phone companies, and it'll work for cable companies. You'll get more money without having to deliver any more services to the customer.
Well, I'm not sure where you're going with this, Leo, but what's your point?
My point is that the cable companies aren't really interested in congestion. They're really interested in being anti-competitive. They don't like it. What are you giving that?
Of course, they're always anti-competitive.
Well, but they're using bandwidth caps as a way to fight companies like Netflix. Really, what they don't want is they don't want you watching movies on your internet stream. They want you to pay for HBO.
Of course.
And they don't want you using Skype.
I don't want the other
they want
127 channels.
No, sorry.
I actually like the way the big dishes have it where you can buy by the hour.
You need them all.
I'll take HBO for 2 hours.
I guess my only point is that we really don't get the internet we deserve in this country. There are plenty of places where you get much better internet quality for much less cost.
Although our mobile networks tend to be better. Our mobile networks are faster.
Is that true?
On average. Yeah,
now, I wonder if that's from lack of use, that we aren't yet as saturated with, I'm sure in Japan, per user, they use more. No? You don't think so? What is it? Why is it better then? Newer infrastructure?
Our network tends to be pretty competitive because a lot of people, we're one of the highest rates of smartphone adoption, and we're just using it a lot. Yeah, we want it.
So back to the point. What is the point? Is it that you think? What do you think?
I think we've got a big push come to shove coming here because users want not only no bandwidth caps, because bandwidth caps are really ridiculous.
We want all the bandwidth, we want unlimited data, and we want to pay as little as possible for it.
And it's possible.
Unlimited data. I'm talking about. Are you talking about just mobile? You're talking about? Or are you talking about?
I'm talking about terrestrial.
Right.
I know mobile is another problem entirely.
Yeah, so it's not unlimited data. That's what you're going to get.
Mobile is a much more constrained resource. That was Google's point with their, which is that these the head ends to the cell sites are, what are they, 1.5 megabits, and we got 1,000 people all hitting it at the same time. That's a much more constrained resource. It's my opinion that it is not a constrained resource in terrestrial and land-based internet. It's artificially constrained because they just don't want us using it that way. There's plenty of bandwidth. Bits are cheap. It's easy to make more.
They have to deal with the fact that we're going to slowly evolve to IPTV as the main.
They don't want right.
They don't want it, but that's the way it is.
That's my point. Is they're going kicking and screaming. They're using bandwidth hogs as a straw man. So what the real issue is, they don't want us doing the things we want to do with the internet. They want us to use the internet to, you know, shop at Amazon.
Well, it's also the Bloomberg article basically quotes Craig Moffat, who's at Sanford C. Bernstein and Company. Quote, you know, Cox Communications, Charter, or Time Warner Cable may be first to charge web access to customers for the amount of data they consume, not just transmission speed.
Right.
Which basically,
that's coming. We're going to have tiers. Absolutely.
Right.
No, which is what, by the way, it's what they do on the cell phone, right? Essentially, it's per bit. You get 5 gigabytes. You go more than that, we're going to pay per gigabyte.
Or maybe they're going to do it like an electrical bill, and they're just going to flat charge you for every bit you download.
And that's my biggest fear.
I think it's going to be like water. The water bill, the electrical bill is a utility.
But water is a limited resource. Bits are not. Bits are infinite.
Once you've built out the infrastructure to serve
the infrastructure is the only cost.
Water is
this is the argument you and I always have.
The water, it rains, it goes into the bucket, it goes back into the
spoken like a man who grew up with hetchy water.
You do not
go to a part of the country that didn't.
I don't care about the part we're talking about around
here. Yeah, but water here is different.
Goes into the house, and goes down, and it goes back into the sky, comes back as a circle.
So what you're saying is government should do water delivery.
I know. I think water, by his logic, water should be free.
Actually, government should do internet delivery. What should happen is the municipalities should provide the transport.
There's a lot of people that agree with your theory. Yeah, but Philadelphia did that. Verizon got pissed off and shoved through legislature. And I don't know what the final number was.
They shut down municipal Wi-Fi for that reason. Because they don't want the competition.
Legislature level, when they didn't even want to wire Philadelphia.
We want competition, and I think that these guys are using straw men to basically be anti-competitive, not because there's a real issue with congestion.
Maybe this is the opportunity for Google to become the world's
largest
largest
ISP. Free. Somebody says, Greg, water is free. It just costs to get it. Same with bits.
No, nobody's producing the bits.
You don't get the bit by going outside and saying, "Come on, bits, come on over."
They do. That's exactly
you gotta
what
get
happens.
somebody.
They go like this. What you're doing is you build the infrastructure. It's a capital expenditure. It's one time only. There's some maintenance cost. It is not.
Wait. It's one time only, but
no, water has to be made.
No,
do you think they just get it from the sky? It grows on trees, ladies and gentlemen. This edition of TWiT, it's turning into like a Bill Maher show.
That's what somebody said.
This edition of TWiT is brought to you by Ford and the great Ford Sync. I parked my Mustang out there. I know a lot of you came here to see the electric Focus. It's not out yet, but I promise you, when I get the Focus, because I got on the list, they're all leaving.
Bye.
Go ahead. You can go too, Mark. Just take a walk. Go ahead.
More tea?
No, I'm fine. All right, any three of you, come sit down. You, and you. Come here, sit down. All right. And I won't feel so lonely. Do you like Ford?
I love Ford.
All right, of course you like. How about Ford? How do you like Ford?
I drove a Camaro here.
I don't want to talk to you. I'm a Mustang guy.
My first car was a Ford.
Yeah. What was it? What kind of Ford was it?
It was a Ford Escort.
Oh, you ought to see what they have done. I'm going to go take the three of you for a ride in my Mustang. Screw these other guys. And we'll do this again when the electric Focus comes out. The 2012 Focus, amazing. And I want to show you the Ford Sync and the My Ford Touch. You can now. I got to warn you. You can play videos or display photos on this beautiful screen from right from the digital camera or your portable game device. But you can only do it when it's in park. I don't want you doing it when it's driving. The whole idea here is we keep our hands on the wheel, our eyes on the road, and talk to the car. You can say what song to play, what genre, what track. You can say play TWiT. And it will automatically find it. If you've got your smartphone has Pandora, Stitcher, Slacker radio, it's amazing. Now with the Sync with My Ford Touch on the HD radio, if you like the song, you're listening to a radio station on HD radio, sounds beautiful, say, I like this song. You can actually tag it and then go back when you get home, buy it on iTunes. It's things like this that just really are state-of-the-art. Now, I like the Camaro. Don't get me wrong, but you can't do that in a Camaro.
You can't. There's no GPS.
There's no Jeep. Isn't that? Is it a rental Camaro?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's, there you go.
It's a convertible. Though.
Next time, Mustang, I'm telling you. Ford.com/technology. You go to that website, you can find out a whole lot more about it. Camaro's a nice car, but it doesn't have sync. You know, it's funny. I think in many ways, sync sells cars. Sync and My Ford Touch sells cars. I know you buy a car to get around, but this stuff is so cool. Ford.com/technology. There's the website. Take a look at it. Get to know what they've got, and then drive one at a Ford dealer today. What's your name?
Lisa.
Lisa, you came with this guy who's a Skyrim player, right?
I did.
Yeah. Where are you guys from?
San Francisco.
Oh, that's great. Well, it's nice to have you.
Thanks.
Yeah. So you were saying, what's your husband's name?
Glenn.
You said when Glenn plays Skyrim, you get a girl's night out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a good deal.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Get some Lisa time.
That's fair. It's Lisa time. That's what you should call it, Glenn. You should say, hey, it's time for Lisa time. Linda? Who's Linda?
Lydia.
The mule.
Oh, Lydia.
Yes.
My Lydia died right away. Has your Lydia survived? You know
She's a
why? Because you
bummer.
keep making potions and crap. You got to get out there and fight. And what's your name, sir?
Michael.
Michael, you're from Edmonton.
Yes.
And what does this say?
This says
Bikram Yoga. That's a great tattoo.
In the Mission.
In the Mission.
Yes.
Mission San Francisco?
You got it.
You're not really from Edmonton, are you?
I am. I just visited.
Oh, that's awesome. And you did Bikram Yoga?
I do. My wife owns a studio in Edmonton.
Oh, that's awesome. That's the hot yoga.
It is very
How hot is it?
40 degrees, 105
40
Fahrenheit,
degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're back.
and
Wow.
40% humidity.
And then you, sir, your name?
I'm Jason,
And where are you from?
San Francisco.
That's great.
Yeah.
And why do you have a Band-Aid on your forehead? Did you fall when you got here? No, all right. I won't pry. If you don't want to talk about the Band-Aid.
Last night of Movember.
Movember, you shaved and you
I
grew
did
your mustache?
shave. After
Did you do Movember?
I did.
How much money did you raise?
$0.
Oh, but you did it for fun.
Awareness.
Awareness. Awesome. That's great. Well, congratulations. But did you shave it off right away?
Actually, today.
Yeah.
The show.
Glenn kept
I knew
his,
I was
by
gonna
the
have
way.
a cameo. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Lisa, you want him to shave his mustache?
No, I like it.
Yeah, that's good. But the problem is Movember, he can't grow it. He's stuck.
He missed out on November. It's
Anyway,
true.
great to meet all of you. Thank you for being here. All right, I think our hosts are back.
Thank you.
Yeah, really nice to see you. 40 degrees and 40% humidity.
Yes.
Wow.
Actually, the best Yelp review I ever read was somebody's like, I went to this Bikram yoga and it was hot and they had a wool carpet. I mean, how can you do yoga under these conditions? It's like,
Why would they do that?
it's freaking copyrighted. Like,
So you can have a big party back there.
Have you, what?
Yeah.
What?
That.
What? There's stuff going on back there?
Yeah.
What's
John's
going
got like
on?
a
And by
shot
the way,
of
they
beer.
have the for people that
There's
are going to
booze?
you have all the Lagunitas, and the people who have not had Lagunitas ale should make sure to check it out because it's one of the best
What's the
beers in
story,
world.
Chad? Is that for later?
Yeah, we have catered food for later.
I thought it was Twizzlers and popcorn.
No.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to disappoint you. Some of these people overate Twizzlers and popcorn. They thought that's all they were getting. So we're going to feed them.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That's nice of
Thanks
them.
to Lin Fu for working really
Lin
hard
Fu
on
who produced that? Who catered it? Do you know?
that. The local folks.
You're
Petaluma
going to end
Market.
up with more people showing up just to
That's
eat.
awesome. I had no idea. Well, please, after the show, if you want to eat.
Well,
have-
thanks,
have
Leo.
something.
He's already broken out.
Did you already open? You took the cellophane off, didn't you?
I had checked some of the wines out, and
Did you have some Lagunitas? What is that? What
This
kind
is
of,
the season, the special brew
The
for
Christmas
the
ale?
Christmas thing. Yeah,
Is it good?
it.
You know what we drink
It's not
most
as
of the
good
time?
as the real deal.
We drink the something something. Have you ever had that? That's really good.
They have that back there.
A little
too.
something something. Have that. That's a good one. Spotify has created a platform. I think this is kind of interesting. I immediately installed the Spotify stuff. Third-party apps. People will be also able to include Spotify in their app. What do you think?
It's not available yet, is it? I think it's in
yeah.
the next week or two.
Well, there's a beta.
Okay.
So if you download the Spotify app beta, see, this is not the beta, but I have it on my other computer. You can install, well, I'll give you a good example. WikiTunes will do the lyrics as you play the song, and it syncs the lyrics, so it's like almost like karaoke. You can see. I think it's just great. Is Spotify going to be the dominant music platform going forward? Is iTunes history?
I just heard somebody in the back and go, yes.
Really? You agree? I see. I love it. And then I see these people in the front say no, and I'm thinking Patrick, who is the guy who likes to buy music.
I want I want a copy of my music, basically. I want a hard copy of my music. I want the best quality. I mean, I love Pandora and stuff like that. I get Spotify, but most of my really serious music listening I do with a lossless copy that's off of a hard drive.
I think that what's changed, and I think that you
What
could
do you save as WAV files?
No, he probably uses FLAC or
Apple lossless, depending on which system it's on.
uncompressed or a lossless compression. Yeah. So it would be my guess that people will start to say this is the end of music. That what's happened is music's disposable. So it started with an album.
It's like bits.
Yes, like bits. It is bits. It's not like bits. It is bits.
And Daniel Ek, the CEO of Spotify, his catchphrase is music should be like water.
Daniel Ek, yeah.
There we go.
And, well, we're going to interview him at Le Web. I'll ask him about this because I think that I'm starting to see, you know, there was a time you'd get the album. There was a tangible media. You held it in your
Some
hands.
of us still buy albums. I know I'm a dinosaur.
Right. No. It's changing.
A lot of people
admit
do.
it's not going to stay that way. But it's certainly much less prevalent. Although we were talking about this last week, and somebody told me CDs are still the best-selling format for music, way beyond
There you have it.
digital. I don't believe it, but that's what they told me.
Everybody like you says that.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I've also had people, serious technology analysts be like, well, I just don't see a difference between streaming Netflix and a Blu-ray. And it's like, well, obviously, yeah, you know.
Yeah, that is funny. It's worth a laugh.
But it's, you know.
Most people don't.
Yeah,
I do. I understand, but I'm content with streaming Netflix.
I'm always wondering if they're either fooling themselves or they're full of
They're
crap.
content. It doesn't matter.
So this old Osborne.
It's good enough.
Adequacy is sufficient.
Adequacy is sufficient. And I'm saying the same thing. We went from tangible, physical discs where an artist would create an entity that was, you know, Sgt. Pepper was 10 cuts that all went together. Steve Jobs completely broke that model by saying we're going to sell 99-cent individual tracks.
He didn't break that novel. I mean,
The 45
cassette
RPM
singles,
record
the
was
45
exactly.
There weren't that many singles. There were singles, but now
During
people,
the era, the 50s and 60s, it was all singles.
I suspect people will buy fewer and fewer albums and will just buy singles. You're right.
And it was
hits were-
before then,
CDs did
during
more
the
to damage
78 era, it
singles
was
than-
nothing but singles.
All right. Okay, you're right. Never mind.
And the
but-
gramophone, the one I still have one of those. It's a
You have a gramophone?
And then you crank it and you get.
Do you have 78?
But there's no
Actually, I, have
reason.
I just think it's
I
the
do have a Thorin's turntable that does.
Do you?
Yeah.
I think it's the commoditization of music. The music has become
Music
fungible.
has been a commodity ever since there have been record
Fungible.
companies.
Fungible.
Music
that's
has been
the
a
word of the
commodity
day.
ever since recorded media started.
By fungible, I mean
Fungible.
interchangeable, commoditized. Today's pop hit is evanescent.
Oh, please.
It's.
I think you got fungible wrong.
Did I get fungible wrong? I might have, because I always misuse fungible. I just like saying it. It's like the runcible spoon. It's the property of a good or commodity whose individual units are capable of mutual substitution, such as crude oil, wheat, precious metals. In other words, one pop song is much like another. They're fungible. I think I used it perfectly, actually.
Brother.
That's because, but you know,
But no, that's my point. Is this garbage?
people said Sinatra was
Oh,
garbage.
man.
People said, I mean, people tried to rip the canvases off the wall. It was the first. I can't remember if it was. Oh God, I can't think of the painter's
There are
name.
always
Matisse.
going to be people who will treat it as you do, and as maybe I do, as something as art, as a unique, wonderful creation. But I think services like Spotify basically say, all you can eat for $10. It's all the same, and you don't need it. Next month, get another set.
It's a buffet of greasy food.
Yeah.
But they do that for TV. That's how the cable model works, and people still value, you know,
Individual
what's on-
shows.
Yeah, Lost on ABC versus on another network.
Yeah.
It's just a different model.
Well, in some ways it is, in some ways it isn't. Because
So why
the
do you
cable,
want to own it?
I want to own it because I don't want to. You know, I went to watch a movie the other day on iTunes, and it's not on iTunes anymore, and it's not on Netflix.
So it might go away.
It might go away. Somebody gets into a snit, they might pull their digital rights away from Service X or Service
Okay, that's
Z.
a good reason. Own it because it might go away.
You know, in some cases, they aren't, you know, delivering it at the full capacity. I mean, you know, it's one thing to listen to, you know, a highly compressed pop song, whether it's you know, and I'm going to call punk pop for purposes of argument, but you know, a highly compressed punk song doesn't lose a lot. You know, Mailer or Chopin gets a little ugly when you compress the hell out of it. You can take a Beach Boys single, and you know, it's just I want the purest example of it I can get, at least in a digital format. You know, and I'm going to hoard it away in a closet so that when I'm 70 and I want to listen to Black Flag's Depression because I'm pissed off at the world or I'm incontinent or whatever the issue is, I can listen to my angry music.
So do you think that you are
Nuts?
no? But do you think that
What's your relationship to music? You have a basement full of wine. I don't have wine. I got a basement full of CDs.
and so I'm wondering how
I
common
got plenty
this
of
is.
music.
I think the sound quality argument is an outlier, but the idea that the music that they may get in a fight with Warner, and then Warner will pull their entire catalog. That's a reality.
But
And
most people
that's
don't
something to
care
worry
about any music enough to care about that.
I also don't
doubt
think
that.
I buy an album per month. So why would I spend $10?
Oh,
a
you
month
don't?
For, no, I probably maybe 8 albums a year.
How many albums do you own total? Do you consider yourself a
So,
music
so
person?
Spotify's
Yeah,
a bad deal for you. It would only be a good deal for somebody who would buy a CD a month because it's roughly $10 a month.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. I mean, some people, they start playing around. I know people who weren't buying much in the way of music. Then they stumbled into iTunes when they were digitizing
Yeah,
their
me too.
CDs,
I
and
bought a
all of a
lot of
sudden they're
stuff.
like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!
Yeah.
I remember this one. Oh my God, there's
No,
four
I did
Nilsson
that.
albums I'd never heard of."
I actually did that when I discovered Napster, but same idea. Sort of.
I was the only guy in the screensavers that didn't download everything from Napster.
10 gigabytes,
You
baby.
missed out.
You missed out.
No, actually, most of it sounded like ass.
It was the golden age.
It was
baby.
128K. It
I
sounded
was worried
horrible.
about what if some Napster goes away, and I was right. So I'm just wondering.
Back it up, baby.
I'm just wondering. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just wondering what the future of music and music sales holds. And I feel like Spotify is more the future than iTunes is. You would hold with Steve Jobs that people want to own it.
Well, I don't know. Whether or not people want to own it, the biggest complication in the future of music is the major recording companies, whether it's Warner Brothers
And their
Sony
history.
they're not history.
They're not.
They may be dinosaurs on the down curve, but there's still a lot of people making music who don't want to deal with
So you find a
distribution
kid.
and promotion.
You find a kid who does it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people who want. It's so funny. Like, who's the guy, the lyricist for the Grateful Dead?
Barlow.
John
Yeah.
Perry Barlow. Yeah.
And who's, I think it was Barlow, but and this is somebody, I have a lot of respect for the man, but, I believe it was him who was like, smash the record companies. It's like, well, sure, smash the record companies. You've got freaking zillions in the bank. You're done. You made your money. Why not smash the record company? It's easy to be like, smash the record companies when you're the Rolling
Afterwards,
Stones and you've got
yeah.
$1 billion in annuities and
Yeah.
half of London in your trust.
On the
fund
other
for
hand,
the
you could
kids.
make the argument that anybody who's ever worked with record companies hates them more than those
Yeah.
of us who've not worked with them.
Well, but it's interesting to look at. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of whether it's country artists or folk artists or punk artists or classical artists who never expected to make much money and never
Right.
expected a record deal, and they're perfectly happy.
Right.
And
All right.
make all their money off of touring.
Right, yeah, you're
There's a lot of companies like the Mike Watt quote. Well, the albums were always kind of a flyer to get people to the shows,
Right.
Because they make
That's
their money off. The
never
shows.
going to change.
Yeah.
That's never going to change. I'll tell you one thing nobody wants to buy. Yahoo.
Great transition.
There's the segue of the day.
I want that into the end of year collection. That was the best segue of 2011.
So now they're trying to put together a PIPE, a private investment in public equity, so that if it's below 20%, Yahoo can avoid a shareholder vote on this. So Silver Lake Silver Lake actually does, which is an investment firm, has offered $16.50 a share for Yahoo. TPG Capital, another investment firm, $17.50 a share. And they would buy 20% of Yahoo, raise a little cash, I guess. Is that why Yahoo's doing this? I'm sure Microsoft will be part of this. And part of the reason Microsoft wants to keep this around is because of Bing, and they're kind of like the last Bing customer, Yahoo. One of the
Last and first.
first and only. Under the plan from Silver Lake, 3 board seats on Yahoo, as well as another one for a CEO of its choosing. Another seat will go to Yahoo co-founder, current board member Jerry Yang. There'll be 6 independent board members. One of the board members would be Mark Andreessen.
There was a report that they wanted him to run it. when
Maybe
all was
even run it.
Said and done.
Right. What is going on? It seems like Yahoo should be worth more than it is. Or am I wrong?
Yahoo's got a terrible reputation.
But they have a great portfolio of products.
Well,
I had a good column in Market Watch last Friday. You should all read it.
Does it have anything to do with
No,
Yahoo?
actually, it was in PC Magazine.
Okay.
One of the two.
What's it about?
Yahoo.
That's good, because
right.
that's what we're talking about right now,
Good.
John.
Yeah.
Very topical.
I just thought I'd throw that in there. People want to go check it out.
What was your point of view in the article?
Pretty much what you're saying.
Okay. Like it's a valuable company. Why is it being treated
But
like
I think
dirt?
there's a bunch of things that can happen to it. It can be busted up. It could be chopped up. It could be reorged. It has a lot of problems.
Is this the
this
Google
company.
goes Yahoo column? I feel like I've been rickrolled.
Is that the name of it?
Google seems to be following down the path of Yahoo, and it might want to hit the brakes and turn around. By John C.
Walter
Dvorak.
Winchell, ladies and gentlemen.
Yahoo is in the
Is this the
name.
right
That's
one?
all. I mean,
What's the date on it?
November 28, 2011.
Dateline, November 28th.
No, no, this is an older one. That's not it.
let's see. What
On
else?
buying Yahoo. Here are some tactics potential buyers could try to manage the mess that is Yahoo.
I guess that's my opinion.
Is it a management issue?
That's what everybody says.
It's a management issue.
Everybody says that.
And even
everyone who goes to visit Yahoo says, "Oh my God, this is out of control. This company, nobody knows who reports to who. It's a mess."
Could you go into a company that's that messed up in your experience and fix it? Not you, Mark Andreessen, somebody. Is it fixable, or is it?
There's been person after person that have tried to
nobody's
fix
been
it.
able to
Nobody
do
thought AOL was fixable in the late 90s.
Has AOL been
I'm
fixed?
sorry,
Has it been
Apple.
fixed?
AOL has not been fixed.
No, you're right.
Apple, I'm talking
but you're
about.
right. Apple was 90 days away from bankruptcy.
Yeah, but he had a charismatic leader that started the company, came back, and made a big difference. Jerry Yang tried to do that, but he couldn't
He's
pull
not
it
a
off.
charismatic leader.
He wasn't. No.
He was also fighting with the board. There's internal disputes. It's kind of funny. It's Experian Hitwise is saying that Microsoft has 30% of the search market.
Based on Yahoo. Based on Yahoo.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. 14.32% from Bing.com, 15.69% from Yahoo Search,
Right.
which is powered by Bing.
So almost half of it is Yahoo.
Right.
Yeah. How about RIM? What about those guys, huh?
They're still in
BlackBerry.
business? Yeah.
They're still in business. 2 RIM executives got so drunk and rowdy on a flight from Beijing to Toronto, the pilot had to land in Vancouver. He'd already got all the way to Alaska and flew back to Vancouver and said, "You guys, off the plane."
They were afraid that China was going to impound the plane. That's why they didn't want to go the whole way.
Is that true? Is that what
Yeah,
they were afraid
that's
of?
in the New York Times piece.
Oh, my God. All right, not good.
What were they doing? I mean, just drunk? And
George Campbell and
not really
Alexander
clear.
Whistling got so drunk and rowdy on a flight from Toronto to Beijing, the pilot grounded the plane in Vancouver. It was worth it for the pilot to turn around after heading north to Alaska. I guess to save the plane. Would that happen? The Chinese authorities would just take the plane, huh?
I've never heard of such a thing.
Oh, you never know. Meanwhile, we found out that maybe this is why they were drinking. The playbook fiasco cost RIM $485 million.
That's probably a lot more manageable than the $100 million that Logitech is writing off against Google.
Right,
The
Google TV.
experience, the review.
$500 million hit for inventory that must be sold at rock-bottom prices. RIM announced on Friday the company wouldn't be meeting its financial targets for the year primarily due to the playbook. That's kind of, I liked the playbook. It's kind of sad.
Since when?
Well, I didn't like it a lot.
It's the same hardware as the Fire,
Similar.
right?
Not
On the outside.
It's the same. It looks the same.
It would explain
Inside,
why
it's
it's
not quite so.
It would explain
Right.
why it's been pulled from the Best Buy site. Obviously, RIM doesn't want to make any more of these if they're losing
Right.
that much money on
Right.
them.
They sold 150,000 units this quarter, 250,000 the quarter before, 500,000. It's been going downhill.
Right.
Yeah. And now you can buy it. You can't buy it for $99, or can you? Dramatically discounted prices.
Yeah.
If
That's
somebody
worked-
has a
that's worked
hack
for
for
HP.
it, if somebody would hack it to do something else, I think it'd be kind of cool.
Well, it's interesting because RIM also kind of gave us a roadmap for future BlackBerry devices, and I guess the playbook was running QNX, and I guess they're looking at a kind of a hybrid. They're leaving now.
I don't blame them.
It's kind of boring, huh?
Don't you have where's those guys that sit
Look at-
the empty chairs that they in the back? That
we need that to chair sitters like they have at the Academy Awards.
Yeah, boom.
Yeah, usually that's because somebody got it to get an award, though. So this is functionally similar, but not exactly. I mean, it's similar, but not.
Is that you got a playbook there?
Yeah,
Let's see.
Playbook's a little bit bigger.
it's a little bigger. Screen's the same. It's just a bigger bezel. See if it's hesitant to you. See if it's jerky.
Quick, load the dictionary.
I think
Check the
QNX.
performance.
I think
Look
actually.
at this. I turned it around and flipped. There we go.
See how fast that is?
Yeah,
Look at
actually,
that.
it was pretty quick.
It's very snappy.
The Kindle Fire specs page says fast dual-core processor.
Yes.
Well, it's kind of like the Rolls Royce where it says horsepower adequate. That's my favorite car brochure of all time.
It's adequate for the size of the vehicle. So they've got a new BBX operating system. We're going to see the BlackBerry Nevada in November of next year. This is for 2012. March, the BlackBerry Milan.
The BlackBerry Barren Desert. The BlackBerry Nuclear Testing
The
Site.
BlackBerry Lisbon. And there will be a 10-inch tablet. Black Forest is what they're calling that. Purported to leave the bland playbook looks behind in favor of the angular lines you'll see here in the London. That's pretty.
Is that a phone or a tablet?
That's a phablet.
It's like a tablet with handles. I don't know if we can get
it's a
this
tone.
page up.
It's a tone.
Yeah.
A tone or a phablet. I don't know what it is. That's a phone, I believe.
How's this thing supposed to work?
You know, the coolest thing is slide it. Just slide up from the bottom. Okay, slide down. Okay, slide. Never mind.
Doesn't slide in.
Does anybody know how to use this thing? I remember. I haven't used it in a while.
For good reason.
Yeah. Article. Actually, let's talk about Siri in just a second. And it's a big birthday for text messaging.
Oh, really?
Do you remember your first text message? Think about it, John. We'll get back to you in a moment. I think it was Watson.
When I was a kid.
I think it was Watson. Come here, I need you. I believe is.
The first sent or the first received.
Ageist.
No, actually, I
Good
think
liberal ageist.
we're pretty close to the same age. My hair's a little bit less. What color is your hair? Is it
I
blonde?
wonder myself.
Or is it white? Is it
What
blonde?
color it is?
Is it blonde? You know, John's son is here, and he's the spitting image. It's kind of cool to see. It's really neat. Last time I saw him, he was about six years old. Let's talk a little bit about Audible.com. Are any of you Audible book listeners? Audible? Anybody in the audience listen to Audible? Good. So I can convert
Half
the rest
the
of you?
audience does.
Well, I think the Audible is a really great solution for people who spend time commuting, at the gym, doing laundry. It is a great way to entertain yourself. I'm going to actually ask you, because I've been reading on Audible, listening, I guess is what people would say, the new Neil Stephenson Ream D, and I'm a little disappointed.
That's not an unusual reaction to it.
It doesn't feel like a Neil Stephenson book.
It feels like an early Neil Stephenson book that he...
It's a thriller.
Well, his first 2 or 3 books actually were fundamentally thrillers. It's just in this particular one, and Tom and I got into an argument about this, where I was like, it seemed like he just edited so much. He usually goes on these incredible asides, and it just seems so short. And somebody immediately broke in. That's because you're a freak, because it's 1,000 pages, and I burned.
It doesn't
through it.
feel short to me.
Yeah, I went through it in a weekend. Like Anathem, I'll never read again.
I
don't
Anathem.
sleep when I'm reading a book. It's an issue. It's uncontrollable. It's been going on for 35 years. If my old man didn't break me of it, I'm surely not going to break myself of it. But I actually enjoyed it, but it felt a lot softer than I expected.
It just didn't feel as smart as some of his other books. It's a good thriller, though. If you like thrillers, you might want to listen to it.
I think he's trying to sell a movie script.
That's what I felt like to me, too. But I have to say, the technology in it is all right on. Ream D is a virus, misspelled read me, right, which I like. And it takes you all over the world. There's terrorists. There's all kinds of bad guys. There are at least 2 twists in the book, one at page 400 and one at page 700.
It opens up as a Midwestern family reunion involving shooting, which Tom
guns.
and I were laughing hysterically over that and how accurate it was.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Just the whole feel of a family reunion.
Yeah, the Ryu, they call it.
Yeah.
38 hours and 34 minutes. You could get this for free.
Really?
Yeah. All you have to, actually, I'm going to give you 2 books. You can get this for free and another book. Audible.com/TWiT2. These play, of course, on all the iOS devices on the Zune. I guess I don't have to say the Zune anymore. The Windows Phone, no.
I still use Zunes.
But the Zune, yeah. It's on almost any device around there. The Kindle Fire, of course. So that's a great start. There's one. It's a video game developer. There's a game that's like World of Warcraft called T-Rain, and it's actually if I didn't know it was Neil Stephenson, I'd love it. I guess that's my problem, is that it doesn't feel like a Neil Stephenson book, but it's a pretty good thriller. Now, here's a book I can't wait. I just downloaded the new Stephen King. I'm hearing great things about this. Anybody read that yet, the new Stephen King novel? The idea is a guy builds a time machine and goes back in time to prevent the Kennedy assassination. 11/22/63, a novel.
This was a Family Guy episode the other week.
Really?
Stewie and Brian go back in time to change their initial.
Yeah.
And you really think Sherwin's
It's actually,
a
by
better
the way,
writer
it's
than-
one of the best of all the Family Guys ever because they kept cropping up trying to stop each other. And it became
That's
quite
actually a
humorous.
very funny one. This is, I'm going to take it back. He doesn't build a time machine. He finds a secret portal to a day in 1958. So he goes through it and then has 3 years or 6 years, 5 years to prevent the Kennedy assassination. Anyway,
Can you go back and forth?
I don't know. I haven't read it yet. I'm very excited. It's my next read. 11/22/63. Now, you could get both these books for free. Both of them. That's 50 hours of reading, 60 hours of reading, 68 hours of reading. Look, he did it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're going to like it. Audible.com/twit2. Go there right now. Sign up for you'll be signing up for the Platinum Plan. That's 2 books a month. First month is free. That means you can cancel at any time and get 2 books. And there's a couple for you. But the real problem is there's 100,000 titles. There's so much great stuff at all.
When are you going to read a couple of these books?
Well, I'll be on a plane to France tomorrow. I'll have plenty of time.
No. I mean, read the book.
No, I listen to the book.
No, I mean, be the voice.
Let's not get into
read one out loud.
Yeah, to be the voice. You have a great voice. You should have been narrating a
Very
couple of these
kind.
books.
That's very
You've
nice of
known
you.
this. You've been wanting to do it.
I have wanted to do it. I found out how much they get paid.
Not enough.
Not enough.
Yeah, well.
It's not what you would call a great living. Well, actually, you know what? It could be a great living if you read a lot of books fast.
You don't want to read fast. This guy, holy crap, this guy reads so fast, I can't keep up.
Well, that's the only way you can make any money at it. Here's, by the way, the new Bill Maher book. It's called The New Rules. A funny look at how everybody but me has their head up their butt.
Huh. You get that one free on top of the other 2?
No, you only get 2.
Oh.
I'm just saying there's
Would
other
seem
choices.
like it would be a better idea.
I think, well, this one's only 4 hours, but it'd be funny. So it depends what you're in the mood for. That's the thing, as I like to keep. In fact, I'm already downloading books for my my plane flight because I want to have a variety of different books.
Why don't you sleep on the plane like most people?
No.
You always want to sleep, by the way. This is your tip, everybody.
Yeah.
You sleep going east and stay awake going west.
So which way am I going when I'm going to France?
You're going east.
Okay, so I should sleep on the way to France and stay awake coming home.
Exactly.
And then what?
Then you don't have the time.
You don't have jet lag? Really?
No.
Wow, that would be great. Siri etiquette. The New York Times had an article about a problem. People talking to their phone and it talking back. It's bad enough, people just talking on the phone, having phone conversations, but apparently it's become a real problem, especially on those quiet cars on the train. You know, they have the commuter Long Island Railroad trains. Partly because people, when they talk to Siri, talk in a robotic voice. Have you noticed that?
You have to. It doesn't pick up punctuation or intonation of your voice. So
you have to say,
the
happy
example
birthday, comma, smiley face, comma.
The example they use in the story is, how is he doing, question mark? How are you doing, question mark?
You know, my kids, my family mocks me because when I dictate to Siri, I use intonation. I say, hi, Siri, how are you, comma. I mean, I will talk, I will.
And your kids mock you, literally?
Yeah.
Fie.
Fie, they say fie. Fie, papa, you are speaking with intonation to a robot. And then it talks back to you. Apparently, this article says, talking to your phone is so new, there are no official rules yet. Cliff Cole, a spokesman for Amtrak, said the train line's quiet car policy bans explicitly only phone calls, not banter with a virtual assistant.
Oh, please.
We may have to adjust the language if it becomes a problem. It is one of the problems, though, with dictating to your phone, and especially if it becomes ubiquitous, as I believe it will, and Apple's going to put it on the desktop. People will be talking to their stuff all the time. It'll be driving you crazy.
If you're lucky enough to A, use Amtrak to commute to work, and B, you can get a seat in the quiet car, C, you should STFU and enjoy your quiet seat in the quiet car and not play head games with Siri because you're that bored.
You saw the
Download Angry Birds, use headphones. I
right.
mean, it's a quiet car.
You saw the story about the woman who got arrested for talking in the quiet car. No. She wouldn't shut up. They finally arrested her.
This is also a
They
sign
arrested her?
Yes.
That's great.
She went to jail.
She was speaking in the quiet car. Why can't we do that at movies?
To arrest people, absolutely. Let me see if I can.
Everyone shut up at the movies.
Let me see if I can.
No
find.
laughing.
Did you? Is this College Humor? Where is this? Yeah, College Humor. You've seen this, maybe you haven't.
It's awesome.
Do you have
Depressing
do you have
awesome.
do you have audio?
We have a flat tire.
How do I tie a bow tie again?
What's the fastest way to Hartford Hospital?
Tell my wife I'm going to be 30 minutes late.
Tell my husband.
Tell her yourself.
Tell my wife if she has a problem with my work schedule, she's more than welcome to get a job of her own.
Tell my husband.
Tell her
I do
yourself.
just as much work as he does.
Tell my wife that if watching Ellen is a job, she should get a promotion.
Message from your husband. I appreciate you.
Bullshit. What did he actually say?
Please don't drag me into this.
Cute. A call from my bitch wife.
Really
Tell my husband that he said he'd respect my choice to stay at home with our child.
Tell my wife I would, but she can't even get around to washing his overalls.
Did you want me to search for flower shops nearby?
When I sit on the washing machine, I
Send my wife this picture and ask her if the washing machine is
The only thing you've been sitting on lately. Oh dear.
ask my husband what he means by that.
Tell my wife I think she knows.
Hey, look. I googled anger management techniques.
Very carefully before he says whatever he's about to say.
Ask my wife if she's f***ing Jim McPherson.
Tell my husband how dare he.
Tell my wife that's not an answer.
Is this my fault?
Tell my husband that I will not answer that.
Ask my wife if she's
Okay.
Searching for a safe place to hide.
Tell my husband he wishes it was just Jim McPherson.
Okay, we can stop here. But you get the idea.
There you go. Well produced. You did this at the studio, right?
Yes, at the collegehumor.com. One last story, then we're going to wrap this thing up. But before
wait,
we
I got
do-
a story.
Okay, go ahead.
I just ran this story that just came through. U.S. Postal Service plans to slow down first-class mail. This is their solution to the problem.
You know, it's just too
Let's
fast.
just slow it down.
It's just
Well, wait. But
too
read
fast.
the lead graph before you completely
Slow it down
fine
how? Slow
on
it
the
down.
The U.S.
concept.
Postal Service plans to save $3 billion by slowing down the delivery
That'll help.
of.
packages, letters, and other mailing using first-class postage. So how's that save money?
Well, because then
Hey,
everybody...
here's the letter. Hold on, Leo. I'll give it to you tomorrow. That'll
Slow
save
it
money.
down. And you know what?
So-
This is exactly why the Postal Service is in trouble. Because
Hold on.
Okay.
He's not reading.
he's not
the
reading
story.
exactly right. Okay.
First of all, they're talking about cutting $3 billion, which is. Would you agree that
It's bogus.
it's bogus?
Why are you cutting money by slowing down service?
No
How
business
it
does
save money?
better by making their service
By the way,
worse.
these guys are making money, so let's get.
Are they
that's
making
right.
money?
Yeah.
Well, then why what's the problem?
They had to pay out their retirement benefits
Right.
for the next 75 years in advance.
That's the 50 billion, whatever it was.
Yeah,
5 billion,
and
yeah.
the whole thing is designed to to privatize this thing so the public
Right, they
gets screwed.
privatized it.
That's what it's going to. This is.
I thought they already did.
Well, not completely.
Well, they want to fully privatize
yeah,
it.
this whole thing's
Well,
a scam.
it's interesting because the current standard for first-class delivery has been in place since 1971, which is 1 to 3 days, and they're now going to slow first-class delivery to 2 to 3 days.
And how is that going to save $3 billion? What's the logic?
Well, and not only that, they're going to lose
shut
business.
down 250 to 500 mail
well, that's
processing
different.
centers.
That's different.
Yes, by the way,
that says
including the
save
Petaluma
by
mail-
slowing down.
No. See,
closing
what they
up-
have here is a great deck, and it sucked
Mark,
you in. The
how's it
title
going
sucked
these
you in.
The title says what it is. They're going to slow down service.
I think that's accurate.
And save $3 billion, and close 250 processing centers and lose all those jobs.
including the Petaluma Processing Center, which is going to be closed.
What?
Yes. They're
Well,
closing
this
our
is
they're closing our
scandalous.
post
And you know
office.
what's going to happen next? It's kind of like throttling bits. They're going to get you, if you want overnight delivery, you're going to have to get overnight delivery.
I wish I were doing a Stamps.com ad right now, but I'm not. So, Mark.
Hint to the advertising.
No, we
people.
have a Stamps.com ad. It's just not on this show. Because
Oh,
this would be a
it's a
perfect
shame.
show to get it on
It
because
would
you don't
be.
have to go to the post office anymore. You go to Stamps.com and the post
You're
office.
giving it away, Leo.
Well, the Postal Service ran commercials saying you
Don't
should...
use us. Use, yeah.
No, well, use us, don't use email because it's insecure.
Yeah,
and-
right. And it's slow. Yeah, it just seems counterproductive to make your service worse to save money because in the long run, you're just going to lose more business, right?
That would be an issue.
That would be a problem. And isn't that ultimately the real problem? Not that you're going to save money, but that you're losing business to FedEx. And anyway, you did an interesting thing. You made a book
I wrote an ebook. Yeah.
of Steve Jobs' email messages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How's that going?
It's going well. It's been out for a little over a week. It's
Where can we find it? Is it a
$2.99
bestseller?
on Amazon.
Yeah? How you doing?
It was in the top 100 of the
There
first
you go.
couple days.
You're making money.
$2.99.
You're
It's
buying.
called Letters to Steve, and it's the last 14 years of Steve Jobs' life told through his email interactions with fans.
Now, some
and
of these we
enemies.
know and we've seen, but this is some stuff we've never seen before.
Yeah, there's a couple exclusives he talks
So
about.
can I ask you a question, a technical question as a writer?
Uh-huh.
So these are letters to Steve?
And from, to and from.
And ones that he replied to.
Doesn't the writer of a letter technically own the copyright to that letter?
That's a good question.
They share it with blogs, and then it's
been pushed out. I'm just wondering if you're.
Well, the ones that I got exclusively for the book were shared with me
by who
to be published?
By the recipient.
By people who
send them.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's a really interesting question.
I think you're going to sell a lot of books, but I just wonder if you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Okay, so I send you an email.
Yeah.
And I wrote something in there, but you got it.
Yeah, it's your property.
So you can't give it to somebody else?
Not unless I'm a publisher, and then it's assumed that's a letter to the editor that's open to public domain.
But that's really interesting. So just because
private letters. If you
this isn't a private letter. These are emails sent to his apple.com address.
Well, then you can make this assumption. But if it's a private correspondence, and I would assume he gets private correspondences on occasion, it's illegal for you, the recipient, to republish that stuff. Now, it happens all the time, obviously.
It happens all the time. Yeah, and he was asked about it. Why are you sending these emails if you're
right?
If they're
He's
going to
a
get
public
published?
figure. He knows they're going to get published. Of course.
Well, no, he doesn't.
In fact, it's
he doesn't. No, he's not alive anymore.
He knew at the time. I don't think he's writing anymore. Is he writing more?
Well, it depends on what fiction writer you're talking to.
Yeah, so, no, but that's interesting because obviously he knew people were going to publish these, if maybe not at first, but they were so rapidly published, he must know that. And it was actually a very clever way of communicating with, indirectly with the Apple fan base.
I think it provided some good PR for him at times.
Right.
He handled customer service directly at times. People would send him an email and say, my laptop has been tied up in the Genius Bar for a month. What's going on here? And then he would have the laptop fixed and overnighted the next day.
Did you get a sense of Steve Jobs maybe a little different from reading these emails than you might have gotten from other public announcements? Is it more personal?
I think at times there's one where a guy sent him an email and said, I want to thank you for supporting organ donor programs. My girlfriend of 2 years died of melanoma, and it really affected me. And he wrote back, you're very welcome. I'm sorry for your loss. Life is fragile. And it was like a very honest moment. And he had very few of those.
Was the worst moment? I think this was the worst moment. He was going back and forth. Was it where the writer from Engadget?
From Gawker.
Gawker, that's right.
Yeah, Ryan Tate.
Yeah, and at one point he says, well, what if, to Ryan Tate, after Ryan complains about the fact that Apple's blocking porn on the iPhone, Jobs' retort to this is, well, what have you done that's so great lately?
Yeah, or do you just belittle the work of others? Yeah,
good comeback, Steve.
Kind of a low point, actually.
Often he'd end with zingers. One of the ones I got exclusively for this was from the guy who runs Tap. They do Camera Plus.
Yeah,
and he sent Steve an email saying, there's a flaw in the App Store system. You should fix this. People are gaming your rating system, and Jobs responds like saying, here's the fix that we're working on. By the way, I see your app hasn't gotten great reviews.
Oh! Camera Plus actually is one of its best sellers. That is a weird zinger.
It was a different app at the time.
Oh, it wasn't Camera Plus. Oh, okay. Jeez, that's kind of personal. Like,
so where can people get this book?
Well, right here, Amazon.
Amazon, just the Amazon
What's
site?
the deal on that? Does Amazon take 30%?
Yeah, they take 30%. I wanted to actually price it at $199, but $299 is the lowest you can go before they start taking 70%.
Oh, so that would be the kind of sweet spot. And you get $2 for every book.
Yeah, about that.
That's
they also
kind of
take
what
a
John gets
delivery
for
fee.
his books.
What books?
When's the last time you wrote a book?
I don't know. That's not open for debate.
Why would that be open for debate?
It's not open for debate. I don't want to talk about it. I got books that are backed up. It's a problem.
You got books backed up?
Yeah.
Wow. That must feel good.
I need those big pockets.
Anyway, Letters to Steve inside the email box of Apple's Steve Jobs is available for Kindle at Amazon.com. And you enabled text-to-speech. So you can have a robotic voice
get a robot reading
it to you, which would be very interesting. By the way, somebody's already written a book called Talking to Siri, Learning the Language of Apple. That did not take long. $4.99. That's what's interesting about these ebooks is how quickly you can turn them around.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was working on this one for about 8 months.
Were you?
So maybe I couldn't do it on work time, so it was probably just because I was working on the weekends. But once you get to the publishing phase, it's much quicker. You don't need to wait for printing presses to get to it and marketing and everything. You just
press go.
upload.
It's available. Yeah. According to Wikipedia, the first text message, SMS message, was sent 3rd December 1992, 19 years ago. A man named Neil Papworth used a computer to text to Richard Jarvis. He was a Vodafone customer on an Orbitel 901 handset. The message was, and I quote, "Merry Christmas." First text message.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Here we are 19 years later, and look how far we've come. In 2010, SMS messages generated $115 billion in worldwide revenue.
Wow.
Is that the Orbitel? Look at that. That's the one of those things that you'd have to keep here. I could put it over here. One of those things you'd have to keep on your shoulder with a shoulder bag. The thing is so big. Can you see that? Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. But I don't think text. When did text message? When did you look? You're a young guy, Mark Milian. Did you in college? You surely used text messaging. How about in high school?
I didn't have a text messaging plan, and they were like,
it was
20 cents,
expensive.
which
You
is-
couldn't do it
yeah.
from cross carrier, and the real problem was on those old flip phones. You'd have to type AAA.
Oh, yeah,
111.
it was brutal.
So I think it was probably 2000. I would guess it was when the iPhone came out in 2007, or maybe Blackberries. That text messaging really took off.
Blackberries for sure. I think
Blackberries, yeah.
had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 2009 maybe when text messaging had surpassed the amount of minutes that were spent calling, and it's not changed since.
Huge revenue source for cell phone companies because they charge, even if you pay a flat fee, they charge an awful lot for those.
I use Google Voice for my text
I
messaging.
do too. Love it.
Yeah, it's free.
Doesn't cost you anything.
Right.
But the recipient pays if they have a plan. Don't have a plan.
And you can't get multimedia messaging or messages through
From Google Voice.
from big companies that those if you're texting American Idol or something.
Right.
Oh, really?
You can't do that? You can't vote?
I don't think so. I
can't vote with Google Voice. Some bot would bang, bang, bang and something.
I think the interesting thing is that Google Voice, Apple's iMessage, group services, we're going to use GroupMe for CES and LeWeb, they all bypass SMS, giving you SMS capabilities. iMessage is I can't believe Apple got, it's a testament to the power of the iPhone that Apple was able to get the carriers to agree to this. It will use Wi-Fi or data over SMS. It'll only use SMS if there's no other way to send that message. And it has a combined inbox, so you don't care or no. You just, I got the text. I don't care how it came.
Yeah, I doubt the carriers are happy about that.
Cannot
But RIM
be.
was doing it with BlackBerry Messenger long before
That's true.
iPhone was.
High
so-
school kids love BlackBerry Messenger.
Someone in the chat room wants to know when the first sexting message was sent.
It was December 4th, 1992.
Yeah, softball. You hit it. Good work.
when Phil texted back, F you. Okay, so I think we are done now, unless you have any urgent stories that anybody wants to cover. We have some food to eat in the back, more Twizzlers. What do you call them? Sweaters?
Red vines.
Red vines. John C. Dvorak is at channeldvorak.com. That's where you'll find about his many enterprises, including No Agenda Show.
NoAgendaShow.com.
Take 5. Take 5.
No. No.
That's the merit.
X3Show.com.
X3Show.com.
And the more funny or Generation X3 Show, which is something you'd like to do.
You know, speaking of Tom Merritt, I think he actually...
Is Tom going to be here?
I think he's here. He's got something on the... what's coming up on the
that's
week ahead,
funny because
Tom?
I've been wanting to ask him a question.
Tom?
Hey, thanks, Leo. Here's a look at some of the things we'll be talking about on Tech News Today in the week ahead. Of course, today, December 4th, your white Galaxy S2 skyrocket for AT&T is there. I know you're so excited, John. Also, Mario Kart hits 3DS today. On Tuesday, December 6th, Microsoft confirmed the revamped Xbox 360 dashboard will launch, and they also have an event to unveil the Windows 8 App Store. Wednesday, December 7th, the $900 HP Folio 13-inch Business Ultrabook lands, and Friday, December 9th, the status hearing on the Department of Justice's case against AT&T's acquisition of T-Mobile is finally going to happen. Saturday, December 10th, the Nintendo 3DS Slide Pad add-on is official and ships in Japan, and the Sony Android Walkman Z launches. No time to talk, John, but thanks for listening. Back to you, Leo.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess he doesn't have time to answer your question.
Excellent.
Tom Merritt will be filling in. He will be staying here while the rest of us go to Paris. So thank you, Tom, for doing that. Again, if you go to Inside TWiT, our blog, inside.twit.tv. You can see our schedule for our LuWeb coverage. I hope you will watch that. We want to thank you, Mr. Patrick Norton, the head of Techzilla, techzilla.com to find out more. Or is Veronica the head? And you're the torso. Are you the heart?
Yeah,
and she's the soul?
We all
You
enjoy
better
producing
stop while you're
Techzilla and
ahead.
making the best program we can. And
so
sometimes it rains.
Yes.
Make an obscure boulder.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. And sometimes it rains. TEKZILLA.com.
Yes, sir.
Catch Mark Milian at CNN.com, where he writes about tech. Anything else you got besides the book and CNN? Anything else you want to plug?
Eaten quite a bit of my time last year.
Well, hey, thank you for coming down.
Thank you.
We're up. Are we up? I guess we're up. Thank you for coming up. Thank you all for being here. We do this show 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, 2300 UTC on Sundays at twit.tv. We love it if you watch live. We follow the chat room and all of your insulting comments there, and we really appreciate those. If you want to also watch after the fact, you always can by downloading a copy from twit.tv. We make audio and video available, and now high def, right? We still do the high def, right? Yeah, 720p. If you haven't downloaded the 720p version, take a look at it. It really is gorgeous.
You might even be able to tell what color John C. Dvorak's hair is.
No, I'm sitting
It's
across
unlikely.
from it. I still can't tell. I don't know what color it is.
Sandy.
Sandy. The Sandy John C. Dvorak. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Another twit is in the can. Yay. Thank you. Doing the twit. All right. Doing the twit, baby. Doing the twit. All right. BlackBerry's Rim. It's back. No, it's not. It's all coming up next with Twit. BlackBerry's Rim. I'm sorry, I screwed it up, didn't I? Huh? Okay, take two. It's time for Twit. John C. Dvorak is here along with Patrick Norton and Mark Milian from CNN. We're going to talk about carrier IQ. How much do they know? And when did they know it? SOPA, the Motion Picture Association of America, says, oh, we can fix that. And RIM, it's BlackBerry. No, it's not. That made no sense.
It was fine.
Was it all right?